2, 1.
We'd like to welcome you to another edition of Grok Talk, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, GraniteGrok.com. We are your feared extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio microphone-stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for more news and opinion you could only get from GraniteGrok.com.
Grok Talk.
Did you know that if you talk about individual liberties, you might be an extremist?
I hope so.
If you advocate for states' rights, you might be an extremist.
Oh, good. Well, I mean,
if you want to make the world a better place, you might be an extremist. I have a list. I have the list of 72 Obama.
Oh, yeah. Well,
trigger warnings for.
And who was it stood up only this week and said he was in favor of states' rights and the 10th Amendment?
Extremists.
Yes.
What is that list again?
It's called, this is Obama's 72-point checklist for determining if you might be an extremist.
While they're reading your emails. That's what they're looking for.
May I see that list?
Sure.
You've got to post that up.
You're on. I haven't had a chance to. There's a lot going on.
And we all know.
There's this whole domicile thing.
Domicile. Hey, I got a lawyer gave his law library to CNHD.
Let's show the...
And I have one of the books here he gave us, and it's impossible to believe that this book even exists, but it says domicile. So this is called Corpus Juris Secundum. It's the body of law for America. And it actually has domicile written right there on the cover. Check for yourself. Tell your children you've seen it. And I might mail a copy to the New Hampshire State Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Or they can have this one if they're desperate.
But they won't read it.
They apparently they have their own way of.
They might sit on it to get a better view of their changing what domicile means.
They sit up so high already.
Not high, apparently not high enough. So
Wednesday I went to a Supreme Court hearing for the case is now called Anne Marie Guare. Guare is her name. This is a litigant from Bangor, Maine, and she's a student here in college in New Hampshire, and she wants to vote in New Hampshire and keep her residency in Maine. That's the new court case we have. It used to be Hannah Rivers versus State of New Hampshire back in 2012 when they filed that before the 2012 election, and the Supreme Court let it just drift by. We had a judge said, "Oh yeah, college students are mobile domiciled." I can't find mobile domiciled in the law anywhere, but he made this new invention called mobile domiciled and said the students don't have to get driver's licenses in New Hampshire or abide by any other statutes. They just come here and they use their college dorm or someplace they're renting as their place to vote from.
So wouldn't this then invalidate the entire purpose of absentee ballots?
Correct. Yeah.
Unless you're actually outside the country and can't vote in Cambodia or wherever the hell you are.
Or outside of the
That's fine. So the proper approach should be a simple affidavit that you sign when you go to vote that says, "I solemnly swear that I have not taken or used an absentee ballot for any other state."
Well, we have that. It's called RSA 654-7. In your application, you state under penalty of perjury right now that you are not registered and not voting in any other state, and you're not registered in any other state. So that's what you swear to now. But on top of that, in 2012, the legislature said, we just got to make people aware of the fact that when you declare New Hampshire your domicile to vote, and that's what our Constitution says, when you've reached the age of 18 and you're an inhabitant of New Hampshire, you will vote from your domicile in the town or ward in which you are domiciled. Domiciled's the word. So this Anne Marie Guare is the new litigant for the ACLU and the League of Women Voters to allow non-residents, college students, to just vote here because they're going to school here. We're going to make it sound like there's a fuzzy meeting between resident and domicile. Your legal residency is your domicile. Your permanent residency is your domicile. You can only have one domicile. Once you declare it, that's it. So, in fact, I was talking to the former mayor of Bangor, Maine, yesterday on the phone, and he said that's exactly what the law is in Maine. So it's interesting. Now that we have Anne Marie coming to New Hampshire to vote, she'll be able to sign an affidavit saying that she lives in a certain location. If she doesn't have identification to prove it, She'll have a voter registration card, which apparently now, as of yesterday, I found out that voter registration cards are no longer public documents.
What?
Dave Scott got that from Bill Gardner and from the Dover town clerk.
When did they change that?
2015. That was emailed to me, so I have to go and get turned down in writing and have them confirm that you can't see a voter registration card. But the interesting thing is...
Wait a minute. Who made that change? Was that by statute?
Yeah, they say... Dave Scott sent me something saying it was done in 2013. 2015 is when it takes effect. So Dover has turned him down twice. When I sent him to the Dover City Hall to get copies of the voter registration cards for one of the two of the 40-some people that can't be found by first-class mail in the city of Dover after voting here, this is the 40-some people that we mailed same-day applicants. The mail came back undeliverable because it was no such address, was no such street, was no such house number. So we mailed them again. So there's 40 names on the checklist in Dover of people who are currently allowed to vote that currently cannot be reached by mail or found in an
find
address.
some deep pockets and sue.
That's where we're headed. You got to go federal. And I have two of them here that are interesting. Christopher Clarion and there's another character here. There was two of them. Duncan Garmist. There are no such people. No one in America has the last name Clarion. That's a first name. And Duncan Garmist, there's no one in America named Garmist. There is a Garmischt, Germany. There is a Garmice, which is kind of an Italian name. There's some people that name that. But not only does Duncan Garmist not exist as far as we can tell, neither does 25 School Street. And on the other one, neither does 84 Locust Street for Mr. Clarion. So we've mailed to them. So what I wanted to do was, well, heck, Dover, if you're going to let him be a voter there, can I see his voter registration card? No, you can't see his card. And, oh, by the way, he's been removed. He's no longer on the checklist. So these two guys voted November 4th, 2014, and now they're no longer on the checklist with a fake ID and apparently a fake name. So all I wanted to do was simply find out what is the city of Dover using to tell who these people are. If you wanted to contact them, how would you do it? Because we certainly can't. So we were told that that information is now exempt from the right to know law. I'll confirm that Monday next week. I'll get turned down in writing so I can start a right to know case.
So
but
I think,
here's what's funny about this. Some of these people are on the checklist. Let's take somebody who was on the checklist, which was Jared Stephen Cram. If I went to Wilton and said, now, apparently go to Wilton and say, can I see Jared Stephen Cram's voter registration card? They would obviously tell me, oh, no, the law's been changed. I can't see it. But here's one from Pennsylvania. Right here, guys. That's a voter registration form for Jared. And here's his change of address in 2008. And here's his voting record. Now, all this, for a New Hampshire voter, I can't see any information about this guy. I can't see his signature. I can't see his birth date. I can't see his real address. I can't see the voter registration card. I can't see a same-day voter registration application. I can't see a certificate of certificate of domicile. You know, an affidavit saying where he really lives. I can't see any of that here in New Hampshire, but I can get all this from the other states. So this young lady that's suing the state of New Hampshire from the state of Maine to vote here in November of 2016. I can go to Maine and see all this information on her voter card there. So what is the purpose of New Hampshire saying you can't see any information regarding a voter in the state of New Hampshire, but a person from another state can vote here? So if I can go get their birth date and all the relevant information about that person from the other state, so what's the purpose of doing that? Other than to prevent me from finding out who they are.
And to prevent you from knowing that they voted here and there.
Right. That's the main purpose.
And so I think the town of Dover needs to be sued for failing to produce these records and for perpetrating a fraud upon the voters of Dover.
Not just Dover.
The whole state.
The whole state, the AG, the Secretary of State, everybody who's involved in this fraud has to be brought to court, and they have to be embarrassed. And this is just ridiculous.
But I think you pick on a town, one that's not very well off, and bankrupt it.
Well, we're going to do Dover.
And bankrupt it, because if they are deliberately hiding records, whether under cover of law or not, we know that this person was allowed to vote, and now they are not willing to prove that this person was, in fact, legal to vote. then the town is perpetrating a fraud upon its own voters, and it needs to be punished.
They say they're just following the law. So this law has gotten more strict. Every couple of years, something else I can use to identify a voter has been removed from the checklist. Mm-hmm. That's why, starting back in 2006, I started to pursue these people out of state. This is Jenna Rackavan is a voter in Dover. Mm-hmm. Jenna Rackavan, here's you can pass the stuff around. Mm-hmm, sure. Jenna Rackavan voted in Dover from an address which does not exist. Her name is on the checklist. She's also a voter in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. So I called down there recently. This is her voter history from Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, in Schuylkill Township, on Bayberry Drive, right across from the G Lodge where I used to eat breakfast. She is still a registered voter there. I have Connor Dieter Leeds information here. Connor Dieter Leeds voted in Dover in 2014. He's currently a registered voter in Willimantic, Connecticut. So I can get I know his birth date. I know when he voted last in Connecticut. All that information is on the Internet. In New Hampshire, if I want a copy of the statewide voter database, can't get it. It's illegal for me to have that. If I want to go to the Secretary of State's office and look something up, I can see it but not copy it. All I had to do was send one single letter to the state of Vermont. They emailed me their current statewide voter database required under motor voter, HAVA, all the federal elections law. So what we've done in New Hampshire is we've pretty much stripped my right to see who else is voting. That denies me my right to vote, because my right to vote another voter who I believe isn't a real voter, my right to do that is equal to my right to vote. So the day I can't challenge another voter who doesn't live here or gave a fake name and a fake address, I've lost my right to vote. So suddenly, I become the victim. We all become victims. If we live in New Hampshire, we're domiciled in New Hampshire, my driver's license says New Hampshire, I am subject to jury duty in New Hampshire, which Jenna Rackavan would not be, Connor Dieter Leeds would not be, or somebody's keeping them off the list so they don't get pulled. Jared Stephen Cram used to be registered in New Hampshire, but the Secretary of State's office, when they heard that I was pursuing him, called the town of Wilton and had him removed upon their own investigation. And I don't think we've announced this before, but I have those emails. I sent a right-to-know request to the Secretary of State's office, and they sent me 5 emails that they sent to Wilton to have Jared removed. Now, as far as I know, Jared Stephen Cram did not send a letter to the town of Wilton saying, take me off. The Secretary of State's office did that after hearing me talk about Jared Stephen Cram on WLMW 90.7 FM on October 10th of last year. By the 21st, he was off the checklist.
Do we have access to those emails?
I've sent you everything, and right now we're going to go public with everything we have. We're going to go public with the fact that the Secretary of State's office is trying to protect low-life, scumbag, vote thief Jared Stephen Cram. Jared Stephen Cram registered to vote in New Hampshire in 2002 and ran for state rep. He's been a registered voter in Pennsylvania since 2005 at least, because that's as far back as the Philadelphia records go that they sent me. But he's been a registered voter in 2005 all the way up to 2014. And he was voting here in 2012. He was on the checklist in Wilton until 2014 when the Secretary of State's office pulled him off. So this is from Philadelphia County, Pennsylvania, 2005 through 2014, Jared Stephen Lowlife Vote Thief Cram, an attorney. I turned him in to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court Bar Association. They sent me multiple letters back, send us in more information, and it's all labeled confidential. Well, that's out the window now. They sent me a letter saying they're not going to pursue this or going to dismiss this case after sending me several, I think I got 3 letters from them. Here's a typical one. This is to advise you that Jared Stephen Cram, Esquire, has been sent a letter of inquiry in regard to the complaint you filed with this office. Mr. Cram now has an opportunity to respond, after which we may contact you for additional input. They did, and I sent them basically the same stuff. Cram was registered in 2 states. That's a violation of state law in New Hampshire. That's a violation of federal law because you've lied on your that's U.S. Code 42-1973I for you attorneys out there. That's a federal law regarding perjury in federal elections. 2012 was a federal election. So Jared Cram has worked this system like thousands of other people do in New Hampshire. And he was protected by the Secretary of State's office as the courts are now protecting these people.
Grog Talk.